Yeah, I guess what have you been up to? How have you been doing? You said you bought a new car?
Yeah, I got a new Infinity. Worked really hard to get it. It was a huge accomplishment. I'm learning how to monetize my art. I'm hoping to learn how to monetize it so that I can actually start to make money with it. Yeah, I've just been, trying to learn about cryptocurrencies and stuff, and trying to learn how to navigate through the digital space, which is totally different than any other thing you'll ever do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been pretty much all over the board, really. I've been spending like 16 hours a day on Twitter.
Shit.
This last week or so, I probably got distracted to where I wasn't on Twitter at all. So I was kind of like having withdrawals from being on there so much because I was in the middle of trying to sign this deal for this car. So I haven't really been on there that much. So I'm actually kind of anxious to jump back in.
Okay.
What about you? What's going on with you?
Yeah, so I'm in Berlin right now. I met a friend named Jack in Athens, Greece, actually, and he's here in Berlin, and so I came and stayed with him for like a week, and his wife, they're really cool people. They got a cool setup. They got a cat and a dog, and I really enjoy hanging out just here in Berlin and really just connecting with people, because like. I think in the world, like we get pretty caught up on, at least I do. I get caught up on work. I get caught up on trying to make progress and stuff. So like, I'm really excited to just live life and spend some time with some people I care about and meet new people. That's what I'm up to.
Well, that's actually probably the most interesting thing that you'll ever do, Will. Losing my family and stuff, I learned a lot about taking things for granted. You almost take everything for granted, like it's always going to be there. And the reality and the truth of the matter is that it's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that you say you're doing that because you'll probably never feel more alive than when you actually take the time to do things that you normally wouldn't do, or just kind of even go outside your comfort zone and try new things that you've never tried before. I think it's interesting. I think some of the coolest discoveries that we make in life are things that we do that aren't planned, that aren't in our day-to-day routine or our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it's like that's what life's about is that new stuff. We come into the world, we don't know really anything, and so it's like that new stuff is what I find myself like listening to the same music or watching the same YouTube videos or watching the same movies, but like, those new experiences, like you said, are just what make life interesting.
In so many aspects, it's like you just said. I was doing an art piece not too long ago, Will, and I called the name of the piece Autopilot because I feel like we get stuck in this weird bubble of like autopilot, where we do like the same things over and over again, and it's almost like bad programming, right? It's like we go back to the things that we're comfortable with, and it almost leaves you with like this something's missing, like something is definitely not fulfilled.
Oh yeah, like it's kind of like a fundamental like I don't, like you said, I don't know how to describe that. It's like it's not in the activities we do, but it's kind of like how those activities make us feel and maybe who we connect with. I don't know. And maybe, do you want to talk a little bit about like Pepe and stuff like that? Because I think that relates pretty big into the mission and purpose of that project, kind of the, like what's underneath the art. Like it's not just a JPEG that's cool looking, there's like a passion and a community behind it,
Yeah, well, I'll go a little bit into Pepe. I've been studying crypto for about a year, and what I came to learn is that most of the cryptocurrencies and things that, I want to frame this properly because I know you're recording it. Some of the cryptos are not everything that they are hacked up to be. So when I came across Pepe, I had spent about $20,000 on different art and different JPEGs and different investments in Pepe.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, different investments. Let me rephrase: different investments in NFTs. When I came across Pepe, I have been buying NFTs for almost a year, and most of the cryptos that I've come across weren't real. And when I say they weren't real, like they didn't have the utility and they didn't have the things that they said they had. So when I came across Pepe, it had this really deep history and culture behind it. And it was actually Pepe was originally created by an artist named Matt Fury from 2005. And he took this little frog that was supposed to be a peaceful, loving frog, and it was meant to be, illustrated in a children's book. And they took the image and they hijacked his image and his intellectual property. When I say intellectual property, it's basically thoughts that you have in your mind or things that you create in your mind. They took his intellectual property and they twisted it into this perverted, racist little frog, and they used it for hate. And the image actually started to blow up and became famous. Fast forward almost 20 years, they took this frog and they had almost 160 million images with it. And they actually took the frog and turned it into so many different narratives that it literally took Matt Fury almost 20 years to recapture the narrative of love for this frog and to fight back. He wasn't really sure how to really fight back, so after a while, he got tired of people perverting his image, and he actually hired a lawyer, an intellectual property lawyer, to get back the things that his creations in his mind that were hijacked, and people use them for monetary gain. And when I say monetary gain, they basically will take your images and they'll use them to make money, and they literally will. And there's not a whole lot you can do unless you have a lot of money and resources. So I guess it really resonated with me because I kept getting bullied on the internet when I went on the internet, and people kept mistreating me because I told them I lost my family, and it resonated with me really deeply when I watched the documentary Feels Good Man. Like it made sense and it clicked. You know what I mean? Like when I looked at what had happened to this little cartoon frog and how they had changed the image. And then when I looked at how deep his history was, it was really interesting. And then I started to look deeper into the culture and the memetics and a lot of stuff that goes into it. It'd be hard to unpack Pepe in a 40-minute podcast, but
yeah,
I mean, just to kind of scratch the surface, because I kind of went on I don't want to take down a wild goose chase, but I mean, Pepe. I actually happened to stumble onto Pepe when I was like almost at the end, Will, of like going through the space. And when I say at the end, I mean basically when you go into the digital space, people will try to. I hope that you go back and revisit this recording. People will try to exploit you, and they will try to. They'll try to extract value from you any way they can, whether it be monetary value or intellectual property value, and it happened to me several times. I saw people that weren't willing to help me make my art, but they were willing to take my ideas, and it was really hurtful. It was hard for me not to give up, but I continued to push forward, and I still continue to push forward.
Yeah, and so like you, so I know you and me met last year, in person, and that was really cool. And now we hadn't met a second time, but we've been like friends. We've been hanging out on the phone. We've been kind of keeping up with each other and what each other are working on, and we're both passionate about like art and kind of creating things and creating love in the world and creating just kind of how to making the world a better place, in any way we can. And you have a real strong personal journey, and I want to share my personal journey more with the world in the next year. But like, I think that's really cool that we kind of have this mission and this and I think a lot of people have this kind of this kind of caring about the world, this kind of stuff. But then they get caught up, you know, in the day to day. They get caught up going to work. They got to clean their house. They gotta, maybe they have kids. They got to take care of their kids, and of course they're really passionate about things like that. But I don't know. Do you have any ideas for people who, any ideas and insights from your journey about how to kind of create things in the world and not let like day-to-day stuff get in your way of kind of creating your vision?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I feel like we get caught up in our day-to-day activities, and we kind of like, we get consumed with things around us. You know, we're not really very mindful of how much energy and time we give to certain things. But for me, like, after I lost my family and I realized, you know, that we take almost everything in life for granted, I started creating. Even though I really wasn't sure what I was creating, I just wanted to put a message out about love, you know, about being more mindful of love, and about being more mindful of other people.
Yeah.
And really, like, having the ability to feel, you know, like literally just having the ability to feel. And when you create something, it's almost like you gain momentum. Well, even if it's something silly, if you take 5 minutes every day and you pull out a pad and you say, okay, I'm going to draw a cat today, and then tomorrow you pull out a pad and you say, okay, I'm going to draw a cat. And actually, what happens is when you do something every day, you gain momentum.
Yeah.
And when you gain momentum, it starts to actually turn on a part of your brain where your creativity comes out. And when it comes to like creating, like for me, when I do one of my heart-shaped globes or something, like, it tells a story inside. It tells it gives you a little glimpse into that journey. Well, and for me, that's some of the most interesting things that you'll ever explore in life, is when you kind of get to step into other people's journey just a little bit and have a little glimpse into their world, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry. So you mean like with the art you create, kind of what your purpose is kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, you're trying to give people a glimpse into your journey and kind of a glimpse into that power that you've found throughout your journey. Is that kind of what you do with your art?
Yeah. Well, so like with my art, I always try to tell a story inside and to put a little message inside. You know, I feel like one of the most powerful messages I ever got was from my sister right when I lost her. You know, like, I feel like we take almost everything in life for granted, Will, and I feel like, you know, when I put a piece of my art out and it's got hearts all over it, like, most of the time, to be honest with you, nobody ever even asks, and it's kind of sad in a way, because most people are never even taught about art or how to interpret art, or most people don't even realize that art is meant to communicate something. It's really a conduit of a message, which is really cool. You know, like when you look at art, or even those little cute frogs or whatever, like, they have a message inside. You know, they have a message that they transfer. And when I went into the digital space, well, I was shockingly surprised to see that not only did nobody really understand or know about art, very few people, that more importantly, they had interpreted it all wrong, you know? So for me, like, I think it's important to never let that message get lost, you know, and you know, it's really cool when you have somebody who asks you about a piece that you did and they're like, oh, you know, what was your intention, or what were you feeling when you did this piece? And it's a lot, you know. I guess I didn't really question, because I kind of went on the road just thinking about time and traveling through as I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think sometimes being in the car is the best place to do a podcast, because you're like, you got your subconscious out and you're thinking about the world. Being in the car is a good time to kind of reflect on things, you know?
Yeah, it's very much. I feel like at 45 years old, I'm at a place in my life where the most important thing that you can do, Will, is treat people with kindness and love, because at the end of the day, when you think about it, that's all that you have is the memories, you know, and how people made you feel. And I think that it's such a powerful message that gets overlooked in the world, just about love, because the world is so busy teaching the world about hate and about, like, you turn on a TV or anywhere you go, and you if you just listen to the music and everything that they put out in the world today, most of it is like fear-based or hate-based teachings.
Yeah.
And it's something that the world is lacking so much thereof. And so if you ask me why I do hearts, is because the world is just it needs that message. It's like an empty void. That's there, how we were just talking about. It's like an empty void when you know that there is something there. And most of the time you go out in the world and it's just missing everywhere you look,
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I feel like, people fundamentally, and I want to hear what you think about this too, but I think that people fundamentally have like this kind of love in them, right? They love something. They might love their cat, they might love their kid, they might love making art. Like, there's something that they love. And I think there's like just so much that we get caught up on day to day, just maybe like work or some kind of stress or anxiety or something like that. And I'm grateful because I've been in therapy now for like 2 years. I've been like working on myself, working on my house, working on just like even like those frogs. Like for anyone listening, I met Will when I bought some cool art frogs. They're really cool fine art pieces that are incredibly crafted, and they're really cool. But like, even when I'm like kind of hanging out with these frogs, I'm kind of like just looking at them, resonating. They're statues, just like bronze statues, and I'm kind of resonating with what I care about in the world and stuff. And so I'm just trying to be more deliberate with taking some time to do things I care about. And even like this podcast is like, I'm trying to create something that I care about, and something that will maybe inspire someone, or it maybe inspire me, or something I can look back on. I'm just creating something that I love in the world rather than creating something I have to make money,
Wow, well said, sir. I just wanted to touch on what you said there for a second about, creating something, what a difference it makes too when you create something out of the will of your heart, as opposed to, when you go to work and you created it, probably doesn't feel as natural. It feels more like an obligation rather than a passion.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that, well, it's people like you and me are very rare and unique. You're like me, like you wear your heart on your sleeve. And I think that it's important to, I think it's so important just to do the kind of things that me and you are doing, and go to places where other people wouldn't. If I told you my journey in the digital space, you would be like, I can't believe that you're still there.
Right.
Because,
right.
The space is like totally different. It's like you go in there and you're like up against the people who, there's some studies I've been doing on emotional intelligence and the ability to feel, like the ability to feel empathy or the ability to feel compassion. And you go into some of these digital spaces and the people have none of these things. Like, and when I mean none of them, I mean literally, like, I told these people what happened to me and they were like, well, we don't care, we just want to make money type of answers when the answers they were giving me when I reached out to them.
Damn.
And for people to do that to you, it kind of speaks pretty loudly. When you ever want to listen to somebody, you really want to know what's in their heart, just listen to them talk long enough and they'll tell you exactly what's in their heart.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I feel like, and I want to hear your take on this. Do you think that this is out of like a scarcity mentality, that they're just trying to make money just to be in like a survival mode, and we're kind of trying to take a different approach and kind of approach things with love and kind of create things? Do you think it's like a scarcity, or why do you think that this kind of this hate or this kind of thing is perpetuated?
I think that it's a greed thing, Will. I don't think that it really has to do with hate.
Okay.
I think that a lot of it is hate based and fear based because of the, you can be trained by your environment. If you spend long enough time in an environment, you will start to behave that way. I think that a lot of it has to do with greed, and I think a lot of it has to do with just if you start with the wrong kind of principles and you're just doing it for monetary gain, then the passion, like the things that we're talking about, are not gonna flow. There's so much money. There's so much money in that space. It's like ridiculous the amount of money that they throw around in there like water. I don't have money like that. I was never like really well off. So like everything I've ever gotten in life, I've had to work for and earn. But I think that it's interesting when I look around in there. I see a great deal of opportunity there, Will, for people like me and you, because there's opportunities to build things that are actually real, and I think they have taken advantage of that space for a long time. This is all stuff I just learned like recently in the past 2 months. There are kind people in that space, but they're far and few between. It's not like, it's not what I thought it was when I first started.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Was the phone cut now?
Oh, no problem. Yeah, it just cut out just for like 2 seconds. We're good. But yeah, I love that answer you got about just it's like a greed kind of thing, and I know it, like I think that greed maybe comes from like scarcity, where like it's like there's the idea that there's not enough to go around, that like you have to get what's yours because there's a limited supply. But I think like with love and creating cool things in the world, especially we're really fortunate, I think, to be living at the time we're living. Like it's a very abundant time in life. You think back to the medieval periods and you think back to maybe the 1800s. There's a lot of war and famine and sickness and all this kind of stuff. And so we're at a good time in life and in humanity where we're blessed with this kind of abundance. And so there's not as much of a need to be like survival and greed and try to screw someone else over. We can all kind of create cool things and kind of create nice ecosystems. And I know there's like monetizing attention on Instagram and Facebook and always people trying to be famous and stuff like this. But I think that there's like this kind of abundance of love and happiness that we can create. And we don't need to be worried about like getting what's ours because there's not enough to go around.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that so many people are in such a big hurry to get somewhere that they don't even understand. And more importantly, like when you stop being content and you stop being happy with what you have, it changes you as a person.
Yeah. And it makes you less happy, like yourself in the process.
That's right. I did. It's my sister called Lost in Translation. It's a very powerful piece. When I hang up with you, when I get home later tonight or tomorrow, I'll send you a copy of it. And it talks about how we get lost in translation through the process. And it's got a cell phone in it with computers wrapped around it, and it's got a heart with the earth in it. It's a really cool piece, and it kind of just shows how we kind of get lost in the middle of translation, and I think how we were talking about before, like losing part of yourself, and a lot of things that you do when you don't lead with your heart. Well, as you start to do it from all these other places of obligation, like it changes the whole dynamics of it,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I've experienced that a lot lately. I've been doing more responsibilities at work and trying to grow and learn more things. Like you and me were talking about learning to code, and I'm working on that. So I'm under a lot of stress, and I find myself becoming more of a pessimist. I find myself becoming just less happy when I wake up in the morning. I'm not excited to go work on what I'm going to work on. But then when I work on projects like this podcast that we're doing right now, or I'm doing a journal of my travels in Europe, when I'm working on these projects of passion and love, and even just talking to people at work, like I'm connecting with them about their personal lives and just something out of love. I just am it's so much easier for me to channel energy into it. Like it's almost like it comes naturally. It's not work. It's just the way I want to be.
and it's not forced either. I think the coolest thing that you can take from that is you can, like, that will literally roll over into your personal life, and it becomes something amazing, and it opens up a lot of doors for you.
Yeah.
When you started to write code, well, what code are you learning to write? JavaScript or
Yeah, so code is really complicated, as you know. Like, we've been taking a look at it, and it's like there's a lot of hard stuff to that. It's like it's a new way of thinking, basically. And so I'm fortunate that I work with code developers, and so I have some resources of people I can talk to, people I can ask questions to, and hang out with. But the main languages I'm working with are web-based ones, like HTML and CSS and PHP, and I'm dabbling a little bit in JavaScript, and we're talking about like Solidity, for coding cryptocurrencies. But I'm trying to get my basic understanding down so that when I do try to learn something like Solidity, I'll have a little bit of a better understanding of how structured data and all this kind of stuff works.
Yeah, it's definitely, it opens up a whole new world that we didn't even know exists.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing I want to ask you about too, this relates to learning new things and leaning in and getting involved with life, is that you're big on skydiving. Is that something you're comfortable talking about, like how you feel when you're in that free fall state, and how you is there anything you learned about life from those experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most important things I learned from skydiving is mostly everything that we do out of life is based on fear. Our brain operates from a place where we usually operate out of fear. And when you actually go skydiving, there's a chance that you could die every time that you jump. But there's also this very peaceful, liberating feeling, like something that I can't even describe to you. Better than sex, better than probably anything you'll ever do. But like when you first open the door to jump out of the plane, your adrenaline's pumping so hard. But the first time you go, your adrenaline's pumping so hard you can't sit still. Well, and then you can't sleep for like 2 days after you jump. Like your adrenaline, like your hands are shaking the first time you jump. Like, I'll never forget my first time, because I went home and I couldn't sleep for like 2 days.
Oh my God.
But the second time I jumped, well, I was more peaceful than I'd ever been. When you get up in the plane, it's just something very peaceful and very serene about the whole experience.
Yeah, it's that's so cool, and it's a scary thing. Like, a bunch of people have like skydiving on their bucket list, and it's one of these things that's kind of like you said, it's one of these really challenging emotional things for us to do. I have anxiety, and so sometimes I struggle to like leave the house and go get the mail or go get groceries or something. And so like the skydiving is kind of one of those situations where you're like you're fighting your primal fears, some of these primal fears that and I feel like that helps you a lot in life, because you really are like a pioneer. You adventure into these areas like Pepe and art and crypto kind of stuff. Do you think that these skydiving experiences help you with the confidence to kind of push love into the world instead of just operating out of fear and running away? Because you've gone through these experiences where you said, you know what, my body's shaking, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And does that help you with like pursuing your goals?
Absolutely. I think that one of the best experiences I ever experienced in life was skydiving, because it allowed me to become aware of how we are literally dominated by fear. And I think that, in life, well, you kind of go through these little spurts in life where you're controlled and you're completely crippled by fear. And when you can let all that go, I think that when I lost my feeling fear, when I lost my dad in 20, then I lost my sister the year after, those were probably the most two important years of my life. I think I felt like I grew more in those few years than I ever have. It really taught me, like really, really deep philosophy about life, and it also kind of gave me the ability to reflect. Over the past couple of years, I've grown more than I ever have in life from the experiences. And skydiving is something that I tell everybody they should definitely try because it gives you the ability to confront your fears head on. Okay. And not only will you confront your fears, it will literally set you free. You know, and I mean set you free in your mind.
Yeah.
From fear.
That's incredible. That's incredible. In this trip I'm on in Europe, this is my first time ever in my life being alone and booking, because I'm used to hanging out with my mom or my dad or my mentor, Chris or someone. So like I'm figuring life out for myself, booking my own planes, booking my own Airbnbs. And so for me, like I'm not ready for skydiving yet, but like it's one of those experiences of like figuring out how to take care of myself and how to make what I want to make in the world, you know? I don't know. I'm super inspired. I'm super grateful I met you, of course, like, and we're good friends, and we work on projects together. We stay in touch. We kind of support each other emotionally. So like, I just wanted to say how grateful I am, of course, that you're in my life and we're like good friends, and like, I get this feeling, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I get this feeling that, sometimes I'm alone in the world, right? Sometimes like I don't know, it's kind of self-isolation where I just kind of get in a scarcity mindset. I'm self-isolating. I'm just trying to make money and just trying to survive or whatever, even though I'm fine, like I'm doing fine, but I just still get in a scarcity mindset. Do you feel like that? Like, I mean, what do you think about, like, in this question, I guess leads into like, what do you think about like friendship and making connections with other humans who are not your family, people you didn't grow up with? How do you make connections with people in the world? Because like, we're all in this together. What do you do to approach that kind of process of meeting good people and connecting with people and sharing love and that kind of thing?
Ooh, that was a loaded question.
Okay. Yeah.
So well, first let me say I'm grateful for our friendship as well. Will, since we met, definitely grateful for our friendship. The last few years, I probably have felt more alone than I've ever felt in my whole life. Just from the events that happened leading up to right before I met you. But I would say, you know, as far as scarcity, you know, I feel like it's almost like, well, like you wake up and you're like, okay, we could actually change the world through love, and we could actually change the world, you know, with one thing as simple as an act of kindness and, you know, going out to meet new people. I don't get out as much as I'd like to anymore because since I hurt my back, you know, working at the gallery, I don't get out and engage with people that often anymore, you know, and for me, I find that is one of the most difficult things, you know, and I'm kind of like you in the same sense, learning how to do things, some of them for the first time, because, you know, when I lived with my sister, like she usually took care of some certain things, you know, and I never really did any of those. Mm-hmm. So, like, I understand how you feel, like doing things for the first time, you know, and, you know, as far as, you know, getting out there to connect, I feel like it's the most important thing that you can actually do is make those connections, you know, and build those relationships, you know, because at the end of the day, that's all you have, you know. Yeah. So I think, you know, it's important to do those things, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we're coming close to the end of the episode. I was wondering, is there anything that you want to bring up as a topic that you want to make sure that anyone listening, and I guess the audience watching, I don't know who they're going to be, right? Because this is episode 1. But is there anything that you want to share with the world or people I know who will watch it, just kind of as a topic that you want to make sure people know?
Yeah, I mean, if I could share one thing, I would just say to, you know, always treat people with kindness and love, and to always have the ability to meet people where they are in life. The most important thing you'll ever do is have the ability to actually meet somebody right where they're at, and something that I see when I see one of my healing counselors. There's a thing in this thing that says namaste, and namaste means I see you in your humanness and you see me, and just to meet people where they are. And because when you do that simple act of kindness, you never know what that could ignite or what that could inspire in the next person, and how that could inspire or push somebody else to want to do better or to do good things, So I think it's super important to spread love, in the world. And that's what I'm trying to do is just spread a little bit of love around in the world wherever I can, whenever I can, because I feel like it's something that's so much missing in the world. When you go out into the world, it's like it's rare to see people that are actually operating from a place of love. So
Yeah, and that's just such a great message. It's such a great message to like put out into the world. I think the world needs that right now. We're a lot of isolated people working remotely, even not talking to each other, not spending time to interact, and I think that's huge. And so where should people go if they want to learn more about you? They want to follow you on social media. I know you got like a TikTok and Instagram, like you're everywhere. What are some places that people should go to learn more about you and the stuff that you're creating in the world?
So they can go to bizybee.eth or my Instagram page, which is bizybee. I just started setting these up. I'm totally doing this on the fly, so this is good practice, Will.
Yeah.
The other one is, here, let me tell you, the other one is on Instagram, bizybee78. And the next time that I talk to you, I will be more prepared to give you all my handles.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, we got to do more episodes, and maybe we'll do more stuff too, like maybe an art, like we're working on our art together or something. We'll do some more stuff in the future for sure, if you're down for it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely down for it, Will. It's kind of cool because we can go back and revisit this. We can go back and revisit this podcast and be like, you remember when it all started?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I've been making content for years, and so I like watching videos of me when I was like 14, 15, trying to be a video game guy, doing Let's Plays, and so just creating content with people I love, people I care about, and rewatching that like 10 years later is just the most wholesome thing to me.
Oh, absolutely. Isn't it cool to go back and see how you've advanced in the time?
Yeah, and I'm going through my old photos because I have thousands of photos on my desktop, and I can't, I'm trying to delete some and get the good ones because I'm just such a digital hoarder. But like, I'm like, I really want to create some kind of a content thing where I can see my memories and stuff like that. And my vision, sorry, I was trying to wrap up the episode, but now I'm like, I want to tell you about this real quick. My vision ultimately, like maybe a 5-year vision or something, would be to create a platform where other people can share their photos and their family memories. Because, there's Facebook and Instagram and platforms like this. But like, I want to create a platform that's really dedicated to sharing these family memories specifically.
I like that idea. I think that would be something awesome, Will. And I know if you did it, it would at least be in the right hands, because the guys at Facebook and Instagram, they just literally hijacked everyone's data and content, and they made a lot of money off of it, So I think it would be cool to actually have a place where you could, go and share those memories, and we should definitely talk sometime, because I have about 10 different projects that are probably $10 or $20 million ideas, like literally.
Yeah.
And I need, like, I was sitting there thinking one day, remember when I talked to you on the phone, you started laughing. I said, I was thinking about you as a team member, and you were like, huh? I was like, yeah, like someone who I can really trust and who I can work with. And like, there's only a couple people that I've come across, and you happen to be one of those people. So, I think it's important to, like you're a gem. When I say that, I mean, you're such a great person all the way around the board. And when you find people like that in this digital realm, we'll definitely hold on to them, and always cherish them, because they're far and few between,
Yeah, and you gotta check out some of my next podcast episodes that I'll produce, because that's the theme of this podcast, is just people who are genuine like that, and people who care and are creating love in the world, and hopefully in this series of this podcast, I don't know how many episodes I'll do, but like I can inspire other people to share their love with the world and stuff. So my dream with this project, specifically this podcast, is to have someone listen to my podcast who I don't even know, or someone approach me on the street and say, "Hey, I saw the podcast," or whatever, and then I interview them. That would be just so cool. Is like to have someone I don't even know yet, who watches this content with people that I love and who share their love with the world, kind of come full circle. So I think that'd be like a final episode. It's like a full circle thing. So maybe that's like a 10-year vision or something.
No, I want to see it. You never know. It might happen in like 3 months. You'll be out somewhere and the guy will be like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast." And you'll be like, "Come here. I got to have a chit chat with you."
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Love it.
All right, dude. But I'll let you go. I know you got your new car, and I'm super excited for you. And text me what you mentioned. You'd send me like a little bit later. We'll keep in touch, and we'll make some more cool content here in the next few months.
Yeah, definitely. It's the first time I got to do a Bluetooth business meeting in my new car.
Hell yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, you'll love it. Well, it's an Infiniti Q50. It's a nice ride.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know cars, so I'll have to look that one up.
But listen, if you decide you're going to go down the road with doing some of these platforms, let me know. Maybe we can get together on a collaboration and work on one together. And we'll plan on doing that here in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, I really want to do some platforms with you, because you're just such a positive person.
And I think that it's a really cool avenue, Will, to kind of build it. You can build just about anything that you want to build. So, I think that it's a good way to actually broadcast the message that you want to broadcast, and it doesn't get a lot of the, all the other avenues that you could go down. The digital platform is probably the best. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, cool, brother. I'll let you go, and I'll catch you a little bit later. Thanks so much for being my first guest, and have a great rest of your day, bro.
You too, Will. It was good to talk to you. Send me some pictures from Greece.
Oh, hell yeah. I will.
All right, brother.
Peace.